Hi everyone, I'm Ken Rakowski, that's Sandy Grigsby, and every Tuesday we sit and we do our little hour of conversation. And we've done things that range from what to do on social media to make sure your personal brand looks great. We've done things when it comes to how to stand and how to own your presence. Today is all around the idea of how do you take personal inventory of yourself? Huh? I know personal inventory is something I didn't even know, but when I went and did a search for it, it came up to be a lot of 12-step programs. It did. It's like, what? 12-step programs, but that's not what we're going to do.
No.
Right? So let's step back. How you doing?
Good.
Are you moving okay? Grooving okay?
Yes, my injuries are recovering.
Yeah, we got in a bike accident a week and a half ago, and we've been kind of hobbling around, but I think we've been healing. But this idea of personal inventory, like I said, I didn't know what it was. Sandy's been working very, very diligently on this website, Sandy in Focus, which is all around her Confidence Jam thing. And the very first class is all around taking personal inventory.
Mm-hmm. And I focus on fears on this one.
Fears.
Mm-hmm.
So what I figured what might be really cool is I went through this exercise yesterday. And
it's pretty intense.
I got to tell you, honestly, honey, after 24 hours, I feel really good. I know.
It worked.
I feel really good because I realize there are certain things that either we were conditioned to do when we were young or something happened and we don't know why we do things moving forward. It's because of these episodes that have triggered us to close up or to fear. Protect ourselves. And because of that, we can't move forward. And the idea is to understand what our fears are. And our fears can range from a whole bunch of things.
Spiders.
Spiders are a fear.
There was one in the middle of the room today coming down from nowhere. It was like floating in space.
It was a big spider.
Me out. It was actually very tiny, but I just could imagine walking into it, getting it in your hair, having it crawl around. No.
Okay, we're not going to do that. But we're going to talk to you guys today about your fears and challenge you when it comes to your fears, because there's always some type of point to where it began. And how do you destroy that or identify it so you can move past it, right?
Exactly.
So can we talk about, I'm going to talk about one of my fears. I want you to talk about one of your fears.
Okay.
And then let's go to who we're hanging out with. I'm going to tell you, the couples that are out there, I'm looking at like, hi, Mr. Tempest, better half, Carmen. It might be fascinating for you guys to know each other's fears because, that's what it's been. And the relationships that are out there, because by doing this, you can help each other move forward. So you want to talk about yours or mine first? Do you want to talk about math?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay.
So there are different kinds of fears that you could have. And I had this, well, it's not even a fear, it's a belief. I had this belief that was instilled in me when I was very, very young. And it was that I was not good at math. I mean, it was so bad that when I would go to school, I would just not even put my energy into any math class, geometry, whatever it was. I just was like, I'm not good at it. And I never did well in those. I never got good marks in those courses. As I was growing, I would always leave tipping to my friends. I'd be like, oh, what's the tip on that? Like, I couldn't figure it out. I would not handle my own books. If I had a business partner, I would let them deal with all the financial stuff. Even my relationships, I would let the people in my real life deal with my books, everything, because I didn't want to have to worry about numbers because I believed I wasn't good at it. And one day I was at an event and it was a business mastery event, and I was learning about how to increase my numbers and how to ask to charge more and improve my business overall. And there came to a point where they were having us do a math equation to do cash flow projections. And I was listening to everyone, I was actively taking notes, I was totally engaged. And they ask, okay, now here's your worksheet and here's how you do it. And I look at it and it's all numbers. Take this number times that number, divide it by this number to get that answer. And I'm like, and I couldn't figure it out. And then I'm sitting there watching everyone, they're writing away furiously. And I'm looking at my blank page and I'm starting to stress out. I couldn't process it. I start getting heavy and muddled and overwhelmed. And then I go, this instructor just isn't good. So I get up and I go up to a proctor. And it took a lot for me to do that. And I go up to the proctor and I go, I don't really understand what they meant. It was really confusing. And however I explained it made it sound like this was the most complicated math problem in the world.
And it wasn't.
And it wasn't. And as I'm explaining it, the proctor's looking at me going, well, it's actually quite simple. And I'm going, well, I could feel my eyes blinking, and all of a sudden tears start streaming, and I just start crying. And I'm like, and my voice gets crooked and cracky, and it was just a hot mess. And as I'm going through this process, it was like my brain was going, Sandy, calm down. What are you freaking out about? This is really easy. But my emotions were coming up because I was living in the belief that I was not good at math, and I couldn't figure it out. And that's when I had my big aha. And I realized that this has nothing to do with the math problem. Because, people ask you, what's, 9 times 7? I could figure that out super, super quick. And it's things like when I would manage my books, I was really fast at managing my books. And it's just like numbers would pop into my mind. But I just assumed I wasn't good, so I would just sort of cast them to the side. And during this process and this realization, I realized that the emotions were not coming from an actual belief that I was bad at math.
It was?
It was coming from an experience I had when it related to math when I was very young.
With your father?
Yeah, when I was very young, I was about 8 years old. I was about 4th grade, about 8 years old. 3rd, 4th grade, I was doing math fractions, and my dad said, you have a pie. And you take a pie and you cut it into 6 slices, and if you take 1 slice away, how much of that pie do you have left? And he drew a circle and put some lines in it. And I looked at it and I thought, pie, blueberry pie, strawberry pie, like I love pie. And I'm going off on a tangent because I'm a kid and I'm super creative and all I want to do is draw. And I didn't understand what he was talking about. It didn't make sense the way he explained it.
It pissed him off.
And it pissed him off. My dad was super strict, hyper-focused. He was very controlling, had to be his way. And he's like, I just said, if you have a pie, you take a slice away. How much of the pie do you have left? Sound like Cartman.
Her dad does sound like Cartman.
He does sound like Cartman. Yeah. And I couldn't figure it out because I was afraid of him. So instead of going, what is he talking about? Let's understand this question more and explain it in a way that a child doesn't really know how to do. I got nervous and I seized up and I just guessed. And my guess was wrong.
And he hit you in the head with a pencil.
Well, first he yelled at me and said, no, that's wrong. Do it again. And so I freaked out even more and I guessed again and I guessed wrong again. And then whack, he hit me on the head with a pencil. And every single time he hit me on the head with a pencil, because every time I guessed wrong, because I was now panicking, couldn't answer it, freaking out. Well, that hit on the head with the pencil was so painful and so traumatic at that young age, and he kept calling me stupid, that I just believed
it's ingrained.
I was stupid at math.
So something we always should know is we are software. We really are. And bad coding, which happened when we were young, tends to persist because we don't fix the coding. So personal inventory taking is all around identifying that bad code and then correcting it. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to identify the bad code that's been sitting in us, and it really slows us down from moving forward and fixing it by creating new rules. And new rules can be really fun, okay? I had a lot of fun doing new rules yesterday, and you're going to get to do new rules. So
actually, you did not have fun at first.
I didn't, but I get it, okay?
At first, he was getting stressed out, like, I don't understand what you're doing. But then, when he got it, the aha kicked in, and then he started having fun.
Okay, so I want you to think about what your fears are.
Mm-hmm. Write down as many as you can.
Yeah, just write them down. Think about fear of what, like, for example, I have a fear of not being needed. I have a fear of becoming irrelevant. I have a fear of failing. You have a fear of?
Well, I've managed a lot of my fears.
But the fears that you would identify with in the past?
Within the past were rejection.
Rejection.
Not being accepted by others, being rejected. A really
Marcos
big
is
fear.
falling asleep right now while listening to us. Oh!
Disappointment, disappointing others, and being disappointed myself. That was also a big fear. And guilt.
So think about guilt. Guilt. If you were raised, I was Catholic, recovering Catholic. Guilt is part of being Catholic, right?
And it's the fear of feeling guilty. Oh, I will do that thing because I don't want to feel guilty because of it.
So I would love for you to come up with a few fears. Identify real fears. Carmen, that's you too. Real fears, Gotta love. Okay, bye, Mr. King. See you later. Brett's got to go. I know. Okay, so identify your fears. Identify a few fears. So I'm going to go to Marco real quick. Mr. Tempest, what are some fears that you can identify that you have?
Let's start with Carmen.
Okay, Carmen.
Because we just talked about it.
This is exactly what I don't like.
Put it right with the microphone right by your mouth. It's hard to hear it, Carmen.
Like, I'm really afraid of being put onto the spot, like what he's doing right now. When I'm not prepared and I have to talk in front of other people when everyone is paying attention at me, and how do I keep everyone's attention?
Right.
And not make it awkward. That's my fear. But since the last 3 years, there's so many opportunities where it's created for me to present myself. Especially.
Well, wait, real quick before you go there. I sounds like you've worked on that. Let's talk about current fears. What is something that you have a fear of? Like Sandy mentioned spiders, right? What is a fear? Mine is, without a doubt, fear of failing. So what is a fear that you have currently with yourself? Sounds like the fear of being in the spotlight you've worked around to make it an advantage now. So what kind of fear do you have, Carmen?
What Sandy talked about, I have too, the fear of feeling guilty, and then I would overcompensate. I would
Okay, well, hang on with it. Just hold on. I don't want to. Let's just talk about fear. So you have a fear of guilt or feeling guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mr. Tempest?
Yes.
Do you want to share?
You're so Swiss. You're so Swiss. Come on.
Yeah. I'm mostly a hypochondriac. I'm afraid of getting sick. Like, I avoid any news, any health news or sickness news for the last 20 years. I have no idea about heart disease or all the terrible things which can happen to you because I'm completely avoiding any news or information about it.
Got it.
That's hypochondria.
Hypochondria, right?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Let's go over to Mr. Remember these, okay? So because we're going to address these. Let's go to Mr. Burke.
Fear of not living up to what I perceive my potential is.
Yeah, that's
So you ask yourself over and over again, I could be better or I should be better?
How can I?
How can I? How can I be better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go to Alan. What's your fear, Alan? Fears? Unmute yourself, guys. Everyone can unmute themselves if they so choose.
On board.
Oh, wait.
How about I'm unmuted on my end? How
Go
about
ahead.
you?
We got you.
Well, I was thinking about fears, and it seems like I have not a spontaneous fear of things. I've sort of embraced and accept the realities that presented themselves, and maybe, well, if climbing up a ladder to trim a palm tree, I shouldn't be doing it anyway, but I'm, so I can always climb down and should and will.
Yeah, but I want you to identify the fear. If you can't come up to one, maybe you don't. Maybe you've.
Well, I mean, it's a sum total of, I don't know if it's rationalizations, partially that, but an acceptance and an understanding, and that approach seems to eliminate. I mean, if something was to come up.
Wait. You're going ahead of us. Hang on for a second. We just want to have fears. So,
Okay,
Senator,
fears.
please just say your
a fear.
Let's not go any further.
A fear of falling down backwards, tripping and falling backwards, and breaking something.
All right, let's go to Michael. Michael,
That's not
what
work.
fears do you have? Identify fears, Michael.
It's definitely being rejected and not loved, not being accepted, not being wanted. I definitely used to be a people pleaser. I used to definitely want people's acceptance. I used to be overly nice. I mean, I learned how to be affable.
Wait, stop. Don't go any further. Just rejection. Identify that, okay? Rejection. Let's go over to Thomas. Fears?
Probably failure, rejection.
Same thing, similar there. Let's go over to Brandon. Brandon, what are your fears?
Honestly, Richard kind of said exactly what I was thinking, but I guess in kind of the sense of fear of not mattering or being remembered for what I've done. Like, I don't want 100 years to go by and then all of a sudden
Relevance.
nobody. Yeah.
Fear of relevance. Yeah, I get that. How about you, Matt? What do you got, Matt?
So I'd say that probably one of my largest fears is of making an irreversible bad decision.
Choices.
Yeah.
Choices, fear of decisions.
Fear of outcome.
Outcome, fear of outcome. Fear of outcome.
And being, you know, it being the wrong decision ultimately.
That's outcome.
And that's fair. I mean, and that
Either it
prevents you.
doesn't work or it works out really bad.
Yeah, it prevents you sometimes from making decisions then because you become paralyzed, right? Paralysis gives you become paralyzed. Let's go to Mr. Bill Ryan.
I think, you know, fear of failure. I think fear of being out of control. You know, I think as the oldest son, I was always in control, a bit of a control freak. So I would say, yeah, fear of failure, fear of losing control.
Okay, and then Emilio. What do you got there, buddy? Unmute yourself. There you are. What are your fears?
So I've definitely worked through a lot of my fears past few years, but I'm trying to really marinate right now in the moment. I don't know if I would call them fears, but the things that are coming to the present moment are, you know, maybe losing my girlfriend right now, or, you know, losing a family member, maybe.
Fear of loss.
Fear of loss, maybe. I kind of let whatever happens be okay, but maybe it's that. I would have to maybe digest it a little bit, but maybe
That's real. That's a legitimate fear.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
And it actually prevents you from having relationships at times because you're a fear of losing, so you don't move forward. But by identifying all these fears, I'm going to put you back on mute there, Emilio, while you're cooking lunch for all of us.
Yeah.
So why we identify these fears are what? They've been ingrained in us somehow, some way, right?
Yeah, for a long time. We've lived with these fears for a while. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fears.
Do we know the catalyst? Do we need to know the catalyst behind them?
No, but it could help.
Okay.
So for me, knowing that my fear of math and anything that dealt with numbers came from the abuse that I received as a child, and the idea that I was stupid based off of that, it was easier for me to address that fear because I knew where it came from.
And having those fears, and I think a couple of guys mentioned it here, and that is because we have it, we overcompensate.
Mm-hmm.
So in some ways, the negative of the fear produces a positive moving forward.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what Carmen said, right? Her fear of being put on the spotlight, she found a way to overcompensate.
Yeah.
So
So the key is to ask yourself, when do you experience this fear? So you would finish the statement, I experienced this fear when. So for me, let's say it's a fear of success, right? I experience this fear of success when I'm about to put something out there and it's so good and everybody's excited for it. That's when I experience it, right? Because the fear comes from what if it doesn't work, right? So the fear of success. So what would your experience be for when it starts?
So I have a fear of failure, and when I am placed with something that I've never done before, I fear doing it because I may fail, which prevents me from doing it, which in some ways I've already failed then. So I have this book I have to write. It's sitting in front of me. I could see the book. I've never written a book, so I haven't moved forward. So I failed because I haven't done it.
So you experience this fear when
I'm challenged with something I've never done before, and I have a propensity of not doing it because I don't want to fail doing it. So I don't do it. So with yourself, answer it the same way, right? Say it again.
I experience this fear when.
So Carmen, you experience that fear when, and your fear is?
My fear is the feeling of guilt. And I experience that fear when I feel like I might have to commit to something.
Yeah.
That's even bigger then, right?
That's great.
But is commitment, is a fear of commitment part of guilt?
You can have a fear of commitment. The commitment might not be her issue though. Her
But it's
issue
guilt.
is feeling guilty if she has to commit to something that she might not want to commit to.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
And then,
Guilt is one of the biggest fears for a lot of people. I dealt with guilt for years, and I'll teach you how to fix that one. That one's
Yeah, we're
an
gonna
easy
fix
one
it.
to resolve.
when we get to the fixed part, it's fun. Okay. It really is. And then Marco, your fear was around, was it health?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that comes up when?
I experienced this fear when
I experience this fear when I hear about. I'm gonna pass on that one. Sorry, if that's all right.
when he hears about having to get on a plane and everyone has coronavirus, right?
No, I mean, I bet you feel when you don't feel good, you automatically take it to a level towards bad, right? Where, because I think I may even have a similar fear where I don't even pay attention to it. I think it's going to get better. It will go away. Right?
Yeah, so maybe the deeper fear is like that I'm afraid that I would not be able to cope, that I would let myself down if something like that happens to me, that I would not cope with it the right way, that I wouldn't, have a graceful way to accept what's coming my way.
Yeah.
Maybe that's, yeah.
Marcus, your fear of hypochondria is actually very common. People avoid going to the doctor. They don't go to the dentist. They don't get their checkups. They don't get their blood work done because they're women as well, because they're afraid of the outcome. What is the result? So it's a very common fear.
Okay. So you're normal, Marco.
You're
Don't
so
you hate that? But that haircut looks freaking awesome, buddy. I'm just going to let you know. You were looking pretty moppy there for a while. Thomas, your fear? Want to try it again, Thomas?
Right. So, it sounds too similar to yours, Ken, I think. Because if it's the fear of failing, I was thinking about, it's worse when I'm in front of others, right? So to go out in an LA club, I'm from Minnesota, where we don't have all these fancy dance moves, right? So I hate getting drug out by somebody saying, well, just try and, do this, and I won't do it, right in front of a crowd. So, then I'll just want to sit down and probably should just go dance with whatever woman wants to drag me out on the dance floor.
So you experience this fear when you go out to nightclubs to boogie.
That would be an example, right? So what I was teasing, it's being in front of somebody. The fear of failing in front of others is more, because I do try a lot of things, and I have learned to fall into failure, and I coach, entrepreneur clients that you need to do with business. But I would say, when I'm in the spotlight, right? So those social interactions, I'd prefer not to look like a fool. Though as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at it.
But let's make it so it's one line. You experience this fear when?
Experience this fear when I'm in front of others.
All right, let's go to Matt.
Crowd.
Matt, yours is all around. Is it choices?
Well, not like minor choices, major decisions, and then it being an irreversible bad decision. And so it's when it arises when I have big decisions to make.
Which is often.
Yeah, it is. It's not like every day, but it's, it comes up.
It comes up. I'm an attorney. It comes up. It happens. Yeah. It is a big one. Let's go to Brandon. Yours all around relevance.
Yeah. So I experience the fear when I'm not doing anything, like when I'm not working towards something that's going towards my goals. So like I almost feel like, I don't know, guilty. Maybe it's not guilty, but like let's, for example, so like when I go camping with my family in Minnesota, and I spend 2 days without like hardly have any service, don't really work or anything, I feel this feeling of like, I think of the people that are working and getting further ahead than me. So then I feel like, because I'm very competitive, I want to be the best at what I do. So I get in this situation of like, oh, I'm not working, I'm getting behind. That happens to me a lot.
So I experience this fear when?
I experience this fear when I'm not working towards my goals.
Yep. And that is also a very common fear.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. Sounds like you and Mark are you're normal.
You're so normal.
There's nothing.
Oh, bummer.
There's nothing spectacular about you guys. Normal. Mr. Burke.
Yeah, mine's similar there, is that when I don't feel I'm making enough progress on goals that I have, that's when I experience my fear of Well, you termed it relevance, but for me, I said it was not living up to my potential.
There you go. There you go. Want to go, Michael? I experience this fear when?
It's usually when I'm looking for clients, putting myself online, rebranding myself, and also asking women out. I experience this fear of trying to be worthy, trying to be enough.
So I experience this fear when?
When putting myself out there to women and clients.
Got it. Are you single?
Yes.
Got it. Oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. All right. Ellen, we're going to have to work on that falling off a tree or a ladder or whatever it is. I experience it when I'm on the ladder. It's kind of easy. We could even fill in the blank for you on that one. Or do you want to modify or enhance or maybe change the fear to something that is kind of
not physical?
Kind of physical.
Well, let's see. Well, when in dealing with family affairs, wanting to please everyone, which is always impossible.
There you go. There you go. So fear of pleasing.
All right.
No, it's a fear of rejection.
Fear of rejection. It would be fear of rejection.
Right. Or, I mean, all of the ones that have been mentioned, lack of success in the endeavor or of explaining. I mean, I'm a balanced act, so to speak. So if it's something doesn't fall in line, then I'll feel queasy.
So in a way, your original fear of falling off of a ladder is a fear of failure, because if you fall off the ladder, you failed at going up and down the ladder without falling.
Dramatically.
Ooh, so you experienced this fear when?
Well, when either climbing, walking backwards, or engaging family members that I want to both help and have do it my way.
Okay, let's go to Bill Ryan.
Beautiful.
For me, fear lives in that gap for me between when I'm in the zone and I'm moving forward and I'm working on something towards an end, whether that's for something I'm creating or I'm working with other persons, but I'm in that headspace. But when I'm not, that's when all the fear comes, right? So for me, getting focused and being focused on moving something forward kind of keeps fear at bay.
So you experience the fear when you're not focused?
Yeah, fear emerges, that emotional state, fears. So in some ways, I question myself about this, is that, in some ways fear is a motivator for me, right? Because of failure, whereas, okay, just get in front of the computer, do what you're doing. 2 minutes later, I'm totally in the zone. I can stay there for hours upon hours. And when I'm there, it's really kind of a...
Wait, before you go further, we're going to touch upon that. So your fear, you experience this fear when? Just fill in.
I'm not engaged. When I'm not engaged.
There we go. There it is. Not engaged.
So the next question is, this fear causes me to... So answer that and answer it shortly.
Yeah, it's concise.
Yeah, so make it short and sweet. So this fear, so for me, let's see, my fear was, which one did I say? Success. So this fear causes me to procrastinate.
Yeah, mine's failure. This fear causes me not to move forward. Marco, your fear, hypochondria. This fear
causes me to possibly ignore important information.
Ooh, there you go, Carmen.
Causes me to not commit.
Guilt. Causes you not to. Matt?
Causes me to defer making decisions.
Right.
Got it. Let's go over to, let's do Thomas.
And this fear causes me not to try new things.
There we go, Richard.
This fear causes me to work harder on defining my goals and how I will act on them.
So, okay, flip around, Brandon.
Postpone or defer.
This
That's yours, Alan. Brandon?
This fear causes me to not be present while with my family and friends.
There you
Ooh,
go.
that's a big one.
William?
This fear causes me to get into avoidance, get into get into avoidance and of things, and which only just kind of makes it worse because it keeps me in that space.
All right. And of course, Michael.
This fear causes me to avoid and, withdraw and from failing and ultimately growing.
Beautiful.
But it's interesting because two of them flipped it into something positive, where
But
all of
exactly.
us went into the negative.
But
for Michael and Richard, they turned it into a motivator.
exactly, and those are great things. But the key of this exercise is to become aware of where it's taking you. It's either taking you to the negative or it's taking you to the positive, and it's allowing you to verbalize it and say it. Because when you hear it, when you say it out loud, you go, oh, well, that's not as bad as I thought, or maybe that is really bad. I need to change something. So this is the point of this exercise. The next question is very similar, but again, in a short, sweet statement. I fear this because.
Explain that. How would that go?
So for me, if it's success, I fear success because what if people don't like what I'm offering?
Is that rejection?
What if, but this is part of the fear, right? So we're going
okay.
deeper. I fear success because what if it doesn't work?
Ah.
People don't like me and I fail. So now we're going even deeper as to why this fear is such a big fear.
Which is similar for me. I fear failure because people won't like it, accept me. I will become irrelevant, not necessary, and not seen as who I would like to be seen as. See how we're going deeper with this. So Carmen, your fear with guilt. Go ahead. You want to finish it? Ask the question, please.
I fear guilt because.
I feel guilt because I think it's really because I'm afraid I cannot deliver.
Whoa. That's a drop the mic right there if you think about it.
Marco, normal guy?
Because I don't want to die.
That's huge.
So not having the information means you won't die.
Not quite yet.
All right. Matt, go for it.
Getting stuck in a situation or missing out on an opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's go.
That's a really good one.
Mr. Burke?
I fear this fear because of I fear of not being relevant.
Okay. A little more? A little deeper?
I fear not living up to this fear of not living up to my potential because I fear not being relevant.
Okay. Well,
So not having a legacy as well?
Right? Legacy, right?
legacy, yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, to me, it's about turning the gifts that I've been given in my life into a gift back.
Right. Relevance. It is relevance.
Yep.
That is
And
legacy.
And legacy, yeah.
Yeah. Bill? Brian?
I think I equate fear with
I fear this because?
bill can't pay the bills. I fear that I won't be able to pay the bills. I won't be able to, continue to support my life and my partner and my.
Yeah,
Yep, I
that's
feel this.
a good big reason.
Thomas?
I fear this because I will lose credibility.
Mm.
There you go. Let's go with Alan.
Rejection in the moment.
Rejection in the moment. Brandon?
Fear this because I fear I will not live up to my full potential.
The potential that you've established as yourself. Yeah. And then Michael?
I fear this because failing reminds me of pain and shame.
And
Shame.
But it reminds you of pain and shame. But what is the reason? You fear this because it reminds you, or you fear this because reminding you will cause what to happen?
It'll take me back to this like place of like where I'm stuck, you know, just like bound by shame and just worthlessness, sadness, like just paralyzed almost.
Very good. So you fear it because it'll keep you stuck.
By the way, guys, we only have 3 more questions, just to let you know. But the way we did this yesterday is I had to come up with 5 of my fears, and we had to laterally go through each one of them the same process. And there was a great awakening through this process. I'm just saying, you're going, oh, you'll get to it. Okay, wait for the ending. Just wait. Okay, next question is.
So the next question is, if this fear came true, what is the worst that could happen? So for me, for success, if I became successful, the worst that could happen is I wouldn't be able to handle it and things would fall apart.
Mine is a failure, fear of failure. If I do something and nobody likes it, I will be rejected or seen less, or people will not see me as being an authority. Go, Ryan.
If I'm unsuccessful, or if I, a failure, I won't be able to meet all my obligations in the world and continue to work on the stuff that matters to me, because I'll be sidetracked with something else.
Is that the worst that could happen?
The worst.
The worst.
Oh, well, the worst is I'd have to move back in with my family.
There you go.
That would be the worst.
That's the worst.
I'd have to go to Oshkosh.
You gotta go to Wisconsin. Yeah, hey there, you're gonna have fun. I know you are. Not a problem, you know? All right, let's go to Alan. Again,
we can't hear you, Alan.
I fear, what's the worst thing that can happen when this happens?
Being derailed in the moment, but it's not terminal. Back to the drawing board. But the worst is
you moving with Bill at his parents' house. No.
No, right. Well, let's see. No, they gang up against me. I'd be outnumbered.
Okay.
That's the worst, but it's not going to happen.
Michael, the worst.
So far I would just, if I was rejected and not loved, the worst thing that could happen would be I would just have more evidence to prove how unworthy I am of success and love.
So you have evidence, and then what would happen?
Then I'm just fucked. I don't know. I'm not really sure where to go with this.
Matt?
So it's the worst that could happen. It depends upon what the situation is and the decision, but I would say that the 2 predominant situations either involve commitment to a romantic or working relationship, or a financial obligation.
Spoken like a true attorney. Mr. Richard Burke.
If I'm not relevant, the worst that could happen if I'm not relevant is then I'm nothing. I'm a failure. I've let everyone down.
All right, Thomas.
The worst that could happen is I would be a less effective leader.
Brandon, the worst thing. Brandon, worst thing.
I fear I will get old and nobody will remember who I am or what I have done.
Well, once again, there you
Yeah,
go. There you go.
That's a big one.
Let's go to Carmen.
The worst can happen is that is the story I tell myself about me. It would be like a shitty one. Like I feel unworthy, untrustworthy maybe, and it would also feel, the strange part is that I know it's very some degree it's very much self-imposed, so at the same time I might feel that it's unjustified, the guilt that I put onto myself. So it's a conflict that I push myself into, but I cannot get out of at the same time, and then I feel, oh, this is not fair, why do I feel so bad? But then it's
Well, what's the worst?
So the worst, so it sounds like your worst situation would be, it would cause inner turmoil. Sound about right?
yeah, maybe, yeah.
Marco?
The worst that could happen is that I would have to do some mental gymnastics and maybe stop eating chocolate and cheese and, go to the gym a little more. That's probably it, right?
We're Swiss. That's
Yes,
the word.
I feel like mine is I'm kind of looks, the more I talk about it, the more I think it's benign and I should just
No, that's okay. With hypochondriac, it's where you're at, not health.
Yeah, but that's kind of, it's related.
The worst is you would have to give up chocolate and cheese. That's the worst.
Which is very hard.
We're in Switzerland after
We're
all.
laughing, but we're Swiss. It's true. My mom can't give up chocolate or
Yeah,
cheese.
your raclette you can't give up, right?
Raclette.
Yeah. All right. Now the next one is, let's now switch it around. Not your
Switch it.
worst. It's what's the best thing that can happen.
Yeah. So, for example, if my fear of success came true, the best that could happen is I could live in Europe and eat as much chocolate and cheese as I want and have all my friends go on an amazing vacation with me, all expenses paid by me.
My fear of failure is if the best thing happens is, for example, I write the book and it's #1 in New York Times and Amazon, and I get all these great speaking gigs and we make millions of dollars traveling the world because of the speaking gigs from the great book. Got it? There you go. Brandon, you're first.
Damn it. The best that could happen is, I could be
writing a book like that right there?
Writing a book like that. The best thing that happen is, I guess I could, I think about this, like, I don't know why I think of like a Tony Robbins or like a known actor, like being very famous and influential and wealthy in the aspect that I'm one of the world leaders that like people look up to.
The best.
Ooh, I love that.
It's the best. That is, Matt, the best. What's the best thing?
In terms of the romantic or business relationship, that it ends up being amazing and fulfilling for the rest of my life. And in terms of the financial situation, it's that I profit greatly while doing something good and sustainable.
All right. Alan?
All hail the chief.
Are you talking code?
No, all hail the chief. In other words, the outcome of the interaction is everyone says, oh, you're the man. Good idea. We're on board.
Got it. All hail the chief. Thomas?
The best that could happen is by failing in front of others, people embrace the vulnerability and follow me and help me to succeed.
There you go. So Ryan?
I think the best that could happen is I'd finally get my fuck you money, which basically means, you can walk away from any deal. You can walk, if a deal isn't right for you, as a situation isn't right, you always can walk away. You can always focus on doing the right thing because you don't have all that other, responsibilities. So, yeah.
Love that.
Michael?
Yeah, I think the best thing that could happen is just expanding my capacity for growth and evolution through failing, and just getting better.
The best. And let's go, Marco. The best thing that could happen because of your fear of your health. The best thing.
Yeah, the best thing could be that I live a little bit a healthier life. I'll be around much longer to. Yeah.
I get it. Carmen, best thing that could happen because of your
fear of
guilt.
I think the best thing could happen is for me to let that go and not feel that I have to commit or guilty over something that I don't have to.
Okay. Is this the last one now?
Yep.
Okay. This is where it gets fun, right?
No, actually.
Oh, that's the solution, right?
I gotta go.
Okay.
One more solution.
One more.
So hang on. Hey, so.
Well, Richard, I'm sorry, buddy.
We're going
Yeah,
to.
see, I'm not relevant. The best that could happen is that I wake up and find so many people that I've helped and impacted in a positive way that I feel good about it.
which you're doing with one of your projects. I love that. And that's where success is going to come from.
Exactly.
All right. The last thing and then our solutions after that. And
Okay,
that is?
so the last thing, and this one's a little bit tricky here. You got to really think deep for this one. This fear is wrong for me because.
I kind of messed up on this
Now,
one.
this one requires some thought process here. It's wrong for me because. So why is this fear nonsensical? Meaning, my fear of success. This fear is wrong for me because everything I've ever tried to do, I've been fairly successful at. I really haven't ever failed unless I didn't put my all in it. So it's wrong. It's a wrong fear for me because I've proven that I can be successful at the things that I do.
I know this is wrong for me. My fear of failure is because in my mind, I've established a rule set, and that is my first will always be my worst. So I need to get the first out of the way so I could find greatness afterwards. But even my first generally is pretty fucking good. So that's the way I see it, right? First is the worst, but it's still pretty fucking good. Marco, what do you think? This fear is wrong for me because?
This fear is wrong for me because it's mostly in my mind and doesn't change the everyday experience I have if I just, absolve myself of it.
Are you saying it's an illusion?
It is.
It is an illusion, yeah, of course. It's a story I tell myself.
All the
Yes.
time. Carmen?
A made-up fear.
The fear is wrong for me because
Same.
because I let go of a lot of other opportunities. I think what I let go of is much more than what I could gain.
Yeah.
Matt?
It's wrong for me because although it might, in a romantic or business situation, if it's not working out, although I might have spent a lot of time and energy trying to make it work, and I might disappoint the other person or people, that's life, and I could still get out of it. And in terms of financial obligation, I've always been able to put myself back on my feet, and I'm pretty confident I'd be able to put myself back on my feet again if it's a bad financial situation.
Richard?
Exactly.
This fear is wrong for me because I know I'm already positively impacting many people.
There you go. Thomas?
Oh, beautiful.
This fear is wrong for me because I have a lot of things I need to get done, so I should just start trying and learning from any failures.
All right, let's go to Brandon.
You say me?
Yep.
Yeah.
This fear is wrong for me because when I do take off and not work, it usually fuels me to work harder when I do work.
Yeah, it's true, right? Michael?
Exactly.
This fear is wrong for me because it's not true, and it also
You
holds
have
me back.
empirical evidence.
Well, I've just discovered that there's other evidence that's actually good. It's good evidence, yeah. And it holds me back from being more successful and ultimately having the kind of relationship that I dream about.
There you go. Hail the Chief Allen. What do you think?
Well, I can empathize with the people I'm involved with, and so I should not be concerned with the outcome because we'll all make it work.
All right, and then Mr. Bill Ryan, master of the message.
Well, I think this is bad for me because it keeps me from being focused and staying engaged on what really matters and getting off in kind of off zone.
All right, now for the fun part.
Okay. These are rules. So you identified, of course, that one fear. And you have other fears. You probably do, Alan, as you realize it's not just about falling off a ladder. There's other fears that are there. Like I said, mine were fear of irrelevance, fear of failure, fear of, well, you had a big list you made for me. It was like I had 5 of them. And then what we need to do now is to create a rule on how you can actually accept that fear. Meaning, you're allowed to experience that fear when this rule applies. Remember, we're software. Here's some new code. So give us this. This is a little tricky, but it's pretty cool. What you're gonna do?
So it's an if this, then that condition. So for me, for success,
It has to be real now.
Yeah. So here's the catch with this: you have to create a rule. So I will only fear said fear when. So I will only feel said fear when this happens. But the this happens part, the key to this being very powerful, is it has to be something that could potentially happen, but it's very, very difficult for it to happen. And it has to be something absurd or that makes you the hero. For example, I will only feel, so if mine is guilt, mine was guilt for a long time. That's why, Carmen, I'm going to give you this one because this is the winner. This is how I cured my feelings of guilt. I will only, in the past, I felt guilt for everything. I felt guilt if I didn't respond to someone's text message right away. I felt guilt if I didn't call someone back right away. If somebody called me up at the last minute, no matter what I was doing and said, I need this thing, I would drop everything and do it because I didn't want to feel guilty, okay? So guilt was hard and strong for me. Well, I will only feel guilt when I have a glass of red wine on my best friend's white sofa and spill it all over the place. And then run over their dog with my car. So it's like,
I know, look at the Burks going, what?
It's absurd. It's possible. But my best friend doesn't have a white couch. I very rarely drink red wine, and I would never deliberately run over anyone's dog with my car.
But if it does happen,
and it could happen,
you could experience guilt.
and then I could feel guilty about it because it's possible, barely. But if it happens, I could feel guilt. Meaning, for anything else that you assign, you have to ask if this is the case, and that is what the outcome is. If they don't match, then you can't feel guilty about it. So if I don't respond to someone's text message, and then I'm not going to feel guilty. And the reason is I go, well, did I spill red wine on my best friend's white couch? No. Or did I run over my friend's dog?
No.
No. So I'm not going to feel guilty. Next. So what are your if this, then
It's
that?
crazy, guys, but I'm just going to tell you, I did this yesterday, and I thought, and it sunk in throughout the night. This morning, I woke up going, God, I feel really good today because I have these rules now on how I can feel failure or feel relevant. I have these rules, and right now I'm not experiencing any of them.
I'll be right back.
For all of these years of your life, you've given conditions to the feelings that you feel fear for, and you live by those. So for you, Ken, what was one of yours when it was?
They were all crazy.
You had such a good one.
Can you
I
pick
liked
one?
the
Fear of what?
the submarine one.
Oh, okay. But which one was it? Fear of what? That was my fear of rejection? No.
I think it was.
Oh, wait. I got to tell you.
I
'cause
gotta find it now.
You got to hear these because I want you to think crazy because thinking crazy allows you to visualize how ridiculous these fears are. Okay, come on, here it is.
Yours was,
Oh my God, look at all that notes you took.
yeah,
God, man, it's like I was with the psychiatrist all day yesterday.
failure. That was it. It was a
Okay.
fear of failure.
Okay, my fear of failure. This is when I could experience it. Go ahead. What's it say?
I will only feel failure when I attempt to boat across the Pacific Ocean in someone else's boat and I sink it.
Yep. That's it. That's it. So
It's
my fear of
ridiculous.
failure is this. If I go across the Pacific Ocean, someone else's boat, and I sink it, I have failed. Otherwise, everything else I haven't. So I'm going to move forward. I want you to look at Matt. Matt is thinking. Matt is going, oh my God, I love that.
I got one.
You can get creative.
You got one? Richard's got one.
Let's go, Richard.
All right, your rule is?
All right, I'll only feel that I'm not living up to my potential and not relevant and letting everyone down when I'm at a concert or a sporting event and the kiss cam shows up with the word useless over me.
No, that couldn't happen. They would never put the word useless above you.
Okay.
You know
No, it's gotta
what?
be-
You know where you could go with that? If the kiss cam came up and I was sitting next to someone I love and I didn't kiss them. That now is something that could totally happen.
Who's not my sister, huh?
But right there, okay? That's your rule. That's your rule. So
Okay.
if everything else doesn't apply to that rule, there's no need to have that fear anymore. Move beyond it. That's it.
Who's next?
Who wants to try next?
I'll try, but I don't think this fits the rules. So it
Try it
doesn't-
out.
So I will only fear making the wrong decision when it is likely to cause illness or death.
Nope. It's not crazy enough.
Yeah, you need to add a little bit more absurdity to it. Because here's the reality. There are chances for you to make the wrong decision. It's going to happen. Everyone makes the wrong decision. You pick the wrong partner in life. You pick the wrong shirt. You eat the wrong dinner and get diarrhea for the rest of the night. It happens.
I want you to think something like, I only could fear this fear when I'm put in a situation where I have to go left, and that's towards a volcano, or right, where it's a cliff that will end and I will crash the car. That's the only situation. I mean, something crazy like that, okay?
If you were in Costa Rica, you could do that.
I could do that in Costa Rica. So think a little more. Who's got another one? I'm let you kind of, come on, percolate on that one. You got one there, Brandon?
I'll attempt it. I'm like thinking of the worst things. Like,
It's okay.
Okay. I look at, I would be I wouldn't live up to my full potential if, and not matter if I choose to move back home, live in my small town of 700 people, drink beer every single day, and make less than $100,000 a year. Is that?
Okay, so that's more of an explanation of why you would feel that.
It's like the biggest nightmare I would ever have, because the thought of me moving back home and living a small life.
I will only feel said fear when I move home to Minnesota, camp out on my mom's couch, take a job at the 7-Eleven, and save nothing away for the rest of my life.
Failure.
It's possible. It could happen. It's absurd because you're never going to do that. Do you see where I'm going?
I get it now.
You want
to try it again? Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. I fail miserably. I lose everything. I go move in with my
Hold on, I'm going to back you up. I will only feel this feeling of fear, and say what that fear is. What is it? It's irrelevant.
I will only feel this feeling of fear.
What is your fear?
Of not reaching my full potential.
Okay,
or
so
being remembered.
I will only feel as if I didn't reach my full potential when I
move into my wife's parents' house, sleep on their couch, borrow their vehicle to go to my job at McDonald's.
Oh!
That was it! That's perfect! So, if that happens, you are allowed to feel that fear.
Yep.
Otherwise,
you own it.
Nope.
All right, who wants to try next?
Thomas.
I want to know which small town, 700 in Minnesota has a McDonald's. I grew up in a village in Wisconsin of 500, and we had a Dairy Queen. That was it.
Oh, DQs were big. Bill was there too. No, I thought you were in Racine. Weren't you in Racine?
Macwan.
Macwan, that's it, Macwan. So who wants to try it out? Who wants to try it out? Come on, new rule set.
So I could try it out because I've got to go to another call. So I will. I got it wrong the first time. I thought I'd only feel failure if my decision, would seriously hurt people, but that's not where you want to go, right? So I'll change it to I'll only feel failure if all 17,000 students, refuse to enroll and we close down the university.
There you go.
That's real.
That's real.
Good. Bye, Thomas. See you later.
All right, take care.
Bye. Who wants to try? Carmen, come on, Carmen. You'll only fear guilt. You will only feel guilt when.
Give me some time, Marco.
Marco?
Okay, so I'm only gonna fear about my health if I wake up in a hospital and they put a mirror in front of my face and I see that I'm a head in a box and there's a guy who decides to kind of turn off the machine which goes to that head.
With Marco as an illusionist, that could happen.
It could happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay, so stop fearing it until that happens.
Exactly.
All right, let's go to Michael. Michael's thinking about it.
What I've got is I will only feel rejection when I eat or drink something that doesn't agree with me and I have to puke it out.
No. It happened.
It could
It happened
happen.
like tomorrow, tonight.
But that's almost too easy to happen because someone could slip you something. So let's make that more absurd. Like, I will only feel rejection when I drink Goat's urine
Yeah.
on a plane going to Cabo.
Goat's urine could be pretty good. I've never tried it. I don't know.
Well, there you go. You know,
It could have a lot of nutrients and vitamins.
So try it again, Michael.
come on. While you're thinking about it, Bill, you want to try it?
I'll only feel like a failure when I have to ride my bike naked up to the grocery store, and I finally get up there and I have forgotten my mask, so they won't let me in. So I have to fucking turn around, ride back to my house naked, get inside the house, then find my mask, then put it on, and then go back up there. And by that time, I'm getting sunburned on my back because it is the desert, and I'm riding in the desert. And now I'm getting there, and I've got my mask, but I've got a bad sunburn.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Where was your wallet?
Perfect. Exactly. He's naked.
Oh, well.
That's an epic.
Just saying.
Epic
That's-
failure.
Maybe I just needed just a credit card to put someplace.
Alan?
I will only experience this feeling of rejection if no one can hear anything that I have to say or acknowledges my presence.
So the condition is that they're deaf. So do you mean as if you will only feel that feeling of rejection if you go to a party with your family wearing a clown suit with your mouth duct taped?
All right.
Do you
Okay.
see where I'm going with this?
Yeah,
Like,
right. No.
acceptable.
That has a certain absurdity.
It
and
does.
I'll buy into it.
Okay, can you say it then?
I will only feel this fear of rejection if I go to a party in a clown suit and my mouth and even eyes and ears are taped up.
Okay, you got it. Who do we have left?
What do you think?
Matt, you want to try it? Did you come up with a new one?
Yeah, I like your volcano and cliff one, but I'll try to be a little original because this is kind of absurd.
Yep.
When I applied to be the chief financial officer of a Fortune 500 company and am offered a salary of $100 million a year.
No, but no. Does that work? No, wait. That means your choice is bad. That's not.
Is that a bad choice? So you want to be offered
Wouldn't you want that?
$6 billion a year?
Well, I don't have any, I couldn't possibly, unless I went back to school, be a CFO.
No, that means you made a bad choice. You will only accept bad choices.
Bad choices.
That means you are making $100 million in a fortune. I think you took it the wrong way. You want this to be a bad situation to highlight the ownership of a bad choice.
Okay.
That's kind of cool. I kind of want that. I don't want the goat urine thing. I'm still kind of thinking about that one. Okay, I think we have everyone. Richard, we got Burke, right? We got everyone except
Kiss Cam.
Yep, except you.
Cam.
Come on, Matt.
Jesus.
I had to do 5 of these yesterday.
Yeah. See, my mind doesn't go to the absurd quite so
Let me
easily.
give you one that Ken gave that was really good yesterday. He said, in terms of not being accepted, I will only feel not accepted when I'm in the middle of Central Africa around a pygmy tribe and I don't speak their language.
That was my rule. So if I don't have that happen, if it does happen, then I don't feel accepted. Otherwise, I'm accepted. That fear of acceptance is gone now. I really feel that way. So come on, bad choice. Oh, he's on the spot now. The fear of being on the spot.
I'm stuck. It's the absurdity. I can't think of a bad choice absurdity.
missile codes, bad directions that lead somebody to meet the White Walkers from Game of
Okay.
Thrones.
Okay. All right. Here's one. I will only have this fear when I am chosen to be an NBA coach, and my team is the losingest team. That doesn't work.
Yeah, actually, it does work. It does work.
Okay.
Keep going.
It's the most losing team, and I am never going to work again in anything involving sports.
Boom.
We got
That's
it all.
it. That was it. Because it's so absurd. Technically, it could happen.
Be careful.
Some blip in the universe
Be-
could make you in charge
Yeah.
of the team.
It's-
And if you don't know how to manage them right, they could be
They
big
did
failures.
suck. Your
So it's
team
possible.
sucks, by the way, Matt.
And I'll tell you, it's not the Green Bay Packers.
No, that's not, you said basketball, I thought.
I did. I know. I did. Say,
Packers are football.
I did say. I did say.
See, there you go. I love
Green
it.
Bay.
Perfect.
Go Green Bay.
reading for you.
Go Pack, go.
Hey guys, that was personal inventory. I'm just kind of figuring this out. We need to always know what those fears are, identify them, and go through those steps
And create new rules.
and create new rules so we can reprogram ourselves. I know it's kind of like, yeah, it's weird, but it's not. It's awesome. It was fun for us at least. And we want to thank you guys for hanging out with us.
And we'll see
That was more fun than I thought it was going to be.
It
I'm gonna go eat
was.
McDonald's now.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.